afternoon, and thanks for joining us. I'm Judy Simpson. In communities up and down our state, Master Gardeners make a difference. More than 3,000 Vermonters are now certified Master Gardeners. They make a difference in their own gardens and landscapes, and at any given time, there are about 80 community volunteer projects around the state being done by Master Gardeners. Registration for the 2018 Master Gardener Certification Program is now open, and this afternoon we welcome the program's state coordinator to provide more information about the upcoming course. It is a pleasure to welcome back Brett Halverson. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
So, who should take the Master Gardener course?
Well, the course is really open to anybody who has an interest in gardening. So whether you're a hobby gardener or you're somebody that has a little bit more experience, it's really a great class for anybody that has that interest. Mm-hmm. And it's really a way to learn more of the theoretical knowledge around horticulture and soil science. And it's a great way to kind of delve in deeper in those areas.
Mm-hmm. That sounds a little bit intimidating, Master Gardener, but really you don't have to be an expert.
You don't, no. It's really for folks who maybe have the practical gardening knowledge but want to learn the theories and the principles. And it's also focused on creating healthier landscapes, so reducing uses of pesticides and also just creating healthier landscapes for both humans and for wildlife.
So now this is an online class. Why online?
I know it may seem counterintuitive to have a gardening class online, but it's actually a great way for us to reach people all over the state, because the mission of UVM Extension is that we're reaching people all over Vermont. And this gives us a really cost-effective way to reach people who live in both urban and rural areas and provide the course in a way that we wouldn't be able to if it required an in-person class.
I would imagine that would kind of cut down on participation, because at any given time there could be weather issues or, just complications with people's schedules.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely makes it easier for folks who don't want to drive at night or who don't want to drive during the winter, during bad weather.
And so when's the class offered?
So it starts on January 17th this year and it ends on April 25th. And the registration deadline is January 16th.
So what are some of the topics that the course covers?
So the course goes into all of the basic horticulture classes like botany, soil science, and composting, plant pathology and entomology, and then vegetable gardening, which is always a favorite, and then looks at annuals and perennials and growing fruit trees and how to do pruning, and then also talks about healthy lawns and designing a healthy landscape in your backyard.
Mm-hmm. What's expected of someone who takes this online class?
So students should be available to do about 3 hours of work every week, and it involves completing reading assignments and then watching lectures on your own time that are provided for you on our website. And then we do have live sessions with the instructors where students can ask questions, and those are once a week for an hour. Mm-hmm. And everything is online using a video conferencing system.
So what do you need to take the course?
So it's important to have a computer that's up to date, and also to feel comfortable using email, getting onto a website that requires a login, and also using a video conferencing system. And we use a system called Zoom.
Mm-hmm. And is that something that's pretty easy to access?
It is, yeah. It's a link that's provided, and you click on the link and it should open.
And are there exams?
There are, yeah. So the weekly format is you're watching you're doing the reading, then you're watching the lecture, and then you're posting a discussion question on the website, and then those are discussed during the live Q&A sessions, and then we have those live Q&A sessions, and then at the end of the course, there's a final exam that folks are required to do.
Mm-hmm. Now, there's a volunteer component as well. Do you have to volunteer?
You don't, actually. For the second year in a row, we've decided that we're going to offer just the course or the volunteering component. So students can choose if they're really busy and they don't want to do the volunteering now, they can just take the course and receive a certificate of home horticulture at the end. But for those that really want to give back to their community and teach others about gardening or teach kids about gardening, the volunteering is a great way to do that. It's also a great way to get hands-on experience.
And what kind of a commitment is the volunteer part?
The volunteer part is an internship that you do after the course, and it's 40 volunteer hours that you complete in 2 years following the course.
Okay, so it doesn't have to be full-time, 40 hours.
No, yeah, just 40 hours total in a 2-year time period.
And what's the cost?
The cost is, if you're going to do the volunteering, it's $425 or $30 for each module, because there's 14 modules total. And it's $475 if you just do the certificate of home horticulture and you don't do the volunteering.
Now, you mentioned the benefits of becoming a master gardener. What are some of the other benefits that people enjoy?
Well, it's a great way to connect with other people who are like-minded in the community who love gardening, and it's a great way to learn from other folks. A lot of master gardeners really like to mentor new students, so it's a great way to meet other people who have a lot of knowledge and want to give back. And then we also have a membership network of over 600 people, so there's lots of special offers and educational opportunities that we offer to that network.
You also do a lot of community projects around the state.
We do, yeah. There's over 90 projects in total all over the state. And those are ongoing projects that Master Gardeners have started. And they're at all different types of places like schools and historical sites and libraries and all different kinds of places across the state.
And so who teaches in the Master Gardener program?
So it's taught by UVM faculty primarily, and then we also have a few green industry experts that teach. And yeah.
Sounds great. Now, is there financial aid available?
There is. We do offer a number of grants and scholarships. Gardener Supply has given us some funds to do partial scholarships this year for those who need it. And then we also receive grants from a number of different agencies, and there's more information about that on our website.
And as far as the website, can you give folks at home that information so they know where to call or where to find the info?
Sure, yeah. So our website is uvm.edu/mastergardener, or you can call us for more information, and our number is 656-9562.
And Brett, remind folks too that you don't have to be a great gardener to take advantage of this.
You don't, yeah. It's really open to anybody that's interested in gardening, and it's a great way to dive in deeper and learn more. And yeah, you don't have to be an expert, but if you do have experience, there's also a lot to learn always, and our experts are really great and wonderful teachers.
And once again, just in a nutshell, tell folks what the time commitment is for this.
So the total time commitment is about 3 hours a week over the course of 14 weeks.
And there's also a helpline?
There is, yeah. We have a helpline where Master Gardeners answer questions, and that's something you can get involved in after the course. Which
is really great because you actually talk to a person.
You do, yeah. Yeah.
And so how many people have been taking this course traditionally?
We usually have about 100 people take the course each semester.
Wow, that's terrific.
Yeah, it's quite a few.
Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us and talking about that.
Thank you.
Now, Vermont's relatively short growing season makes it a challenge to raise crops used in brewing, but that hasn't stopped Vermonters from trying and succeeding. Keith Silva visited a Vermont business that's got brewmasters and beer drinkers going local.
What's going on in this barn hasn't happened in Vermont for over 150 years.
I am a Vermont's maltster, yes, with an S.
At Peterson's Quality Malt in Moncton, the ancient process of malting starts with a canoe paddle, a couple of converted maple sap tanks, and a lot of passion.
It goes back about 11,000 years. This is a very simple process, but complicated at the same time. I'm taking cereal grains and I'm converting the starches into sugars that can be used in brewing and distilling. You can malt any kind of cereal grain, so that's whether it be wheat, barley, rye, the three most common ones. It's a fairly simple three-step process. You're going to soak the grain, then you're going to let it germinate, and then you're going to kiln it.
Drying the grain in the kiln locks the sugars in place. Mill it, add water, yeast, maybe some hops, allow it to ferment, and you've got beer. Vermont is first in the nation for breweries and brew pubs per capita. Peterson considers his business craft malt, which means, like the state's craft brewing industry, it's robust but small.
At this point, we probably have about 10 regular customers. Most of our brewers are within 25 miles. The larger breweries couldn't use us. We don't have enough supply for them to do that realistically. So mostly we're working with smaller craft breweries and brew pubs. My estimation is that of the beer that's made in Vermont and that stays in Vermont, so that eliminate the stuff that goes out of state, that probably uses roughly about 22 million pounds a year. And when we're going full capacity, we can do about 200 tons. So roughly 2%.
What Peterson's business lacks in size, it makes up for in flexibility, creativity, and uniqueness.
We have them in a 500-liter.
All distinctions Master Brewer Todd Hare looks for in the beer he brews at Foam in Burlington.
We're probably using right now around 60-75% of our base malt bill comes from Andrew Peterson, and that's a Pilsner. We use a lot of his wheat as well, but we find that malt is fantastic for the beers that we're doing. It just contributes a really nice flavor in the end of the beer and so forth, but definitely unique.
I like the idea of driving the industry with a better product. I want to taste a better beer. How do you get there? And with beer, it's somewhat limiting. I mean, sure, you can throw in some puree of something or other, but you can't have beer without malt. And how do you make a better malt? How do you get a better flavor out of it? And that's sort of what's driving us at this point. It's like, what can we do in every batch to get the most extract out of it, to give the brewers something truly different that they haven't had before.
All the grain Peterson malts is grown in Vermont. Finding grain in an agricultural landscape dominated by corn and hay is challenging, which is why Peterson contacted UVM Extension.
UVM Extension was one of the first places I reached out to. I was familiar with the grain trials they were doing up in Alburg, and talked to Heather and Erica there. They've been invaluable.
We've been working with Andrew for many years. We've provided him with lots of valuable connections, both in the farming community, in the brewing community, and with other craft maltsters throughout the Northeast. And now helping farmers grow barley so that he has product to use in his business. A really important part of Extension is bringing people together. Creating networks and creating opportunities for people to meet each other and learn from other people, not just from us.
The research they've been doing is stuff that I'm looking at every year, determining what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it. They have introduced me to most of the grain growers in the state, which they're very many, but they know all of them well. They also have a testing lab now, so they're able to do malt quality testing, which is, again, I couldn't tell a brewer that what my barley's got without them. So here you actually have an academic wing that is legitimizing what we're doing, which is fantastic.
If the trend holds, craft brewing will continue to increase in Vermont. Its success will depend on the product and the consumer.
I think most craft beer consumers aren't thinking about the ingredients in their beer. I don't think it's wrong. It's just never been a conversation we've had before. The Vermont brewers are just an outstanding group, and they've put Vermont on the map so that tourists are driving here to get their beer. For me to play a part in that is phenomenal for me. That was my dream, to be part of the Vermont brewing world, and watching these guys produce, and then being able to use something local that came from the hard work that we're putting in is incredibly rewarding.
Peterson's Quality Malt is a one-of-a-kind Vermont business, and with any luck, it won't stay that way for long. In Moncton, I'm Keith Silva with Across the Fence.
Well, thank you, Keith, and thank you for joining us. That's our program for today. I'm Judy Simpson. I'll see you again next time on Across the Fence.